everyone, and welcome to another live Meet the Expert session, where experts give you their advice on how to succeed in the world of work. I'm your host, Kathleen, joining you from London, and joining me today is Sarath Koppolu, who is based in Poland. Sarath is Recruitment Team Leader at Nielsen. Sarath, thanks so much for speaking with us today. What's the highlight of the week been for you so far?
The highlight of the week is just spending time with my 6-month-old. So the busyness of jumbling between personal life, sitting at home, and work meetings. Sometimes he joins the meetings, which is awesome. So that's what I've been enjoying. Absolutely.
That's an awesome video bomb.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. So today we're going to look at how to stay informed with industry trends and company news, some cover letter tips, as well as how you can prepare and be confident in interviews, and lastly, how online training can put you ahead of the game. Before we begin, Sarath, can you give me a little bit of your university and career background?
Absolutely. So just to introduce myself, as Kathleen just said, my name is Sarath. I'm originally from India and presently living in Warsaw in Poland, taking care of the recruitment in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Nielsen. So my background, as most of you probably thought I had a big degree in HR, which is not. So if you look through my LinkedIn profile, you will easily know that I had a bachelor's in biotechnology, which is totally different to where I am, and then I did my master's in management, and then I moved on to be here. Just to give you a quick snippet on how I ended up here is so as a typical Indian son, my parents wanted me to be an engineer. No, that's not true. It's basically what I wanted to do. And then, so I got into biotech because I was very passionate about biology and human side of the aspect of understanding things. So I finished my biotech and joined an IT organization. Started off as a programmer consultant for medical clients that we had at that particular moment, and then eventually it took me a few years though to figure out that I'm really passionate about people and I really love working with people, and how I can make an impact is what I figured out that eventually this is where I would bring in value. That's when I made my first step in my first organization after a couple of years. When the opportunity came knocking, I said, yes, please. I would really love to have this opportunity to just try and see if this is the place that I would like to be. And here I am, 5.5, 6 years later, still in the HR spectrum, presently taking care of recruitment for Nielsen.
Nice. And what is Nielsen's stance on recruitment right now?
At the moment, like any other company, with the COVID situation, there was a time that we had to slow down the recruitment, and now we're slowly picking up pace. If you just look at our job board, you will say a couple of months ago where there's almost close to no job openings to we have so many openings at the moment, and it's only going to grow. So the pace is slowly picking up as we slowly start opening up our businesses and how things move forward. So we are hiring at the moment. Absolutely.
That's really good to hear. We know that the crisis will have a bigger impact on some industries compared to others. How can students stay updated on industry trends?
I do agree that different industries have different levels of impact. Nielsen being one, we do, as you know, Nielsen, we are a market research data measurement company that basically measures anything that people connect to, which is basically anything that people buy or anything that is in media, so anything that people watch. So as you can know and understand, we generally work with bigger clients in the FMCG industry and as well as in the media industry. So if they are impacted, it's also impacting us. But then at the same time, we're also bringing value in giving reports and giving our analysis when it comes to how we take care of our data in the market, and say how this situation has gone up and down and how the reports are being relevant. So we're still bringing in that value in the aspect to our clients where we still give how COVID is presently impacting the markets and how to stay updated. I think it's a the first thing I would say is just just be there, alive on the market. If you're looking for jobs, do look out, because do look out for the career pages. Do look out for LinkedIn, where you see jobs coming back. Just do that research. Just do a simple Google search, and then you will find what you're looking for. And then one of the things that I always use is a news consolidator. I use Aula. Aula is one of the news consolidators I use, where you can just pick which companies you want the news to come into your mailbox, and they send you email every single day regarding that, regarding the companies that you're looking for, actually. So yeah, so just to give you an example of how you would do a research, is basically just go find the company that you're looking for, find the industry that you're looking for, maybe go to the Owler, you get an email into your mailbox regarding the up-to-date news that you have. Check the career pages, check the job boards, be updated on LinkedIn. There are so many webinars that are happening at the moment, with so many companies telling what they are, who they are, what they do, and what they make an impact on. Please do join them, because it's a great place to know more about the company that you're looking for. And yeah, so I would say these are a few things that come on the top of my head.
Yeah, it's one good thing about the shift to online is that there's so much more information out there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what can students do now to help build their skills?
To build their skills, again, I would still point back to the webinars. One of the things that you can really gain out of that is, what is it that the companies are doing at the moment? What is it that the trends in the market are? This is a good place to gain a lot of knowledge, not just from a Google search, but actually from the companies and the experts. And thank you for everyone that's joining this specific live session, because this is one of the things that you are doing to gain more skills, because you get more perspectives when you join sessions like that. And there are, of course, online trainings. It can be a simple Google certifications to Harvard online, or even to just improve a language, because language is becoming a very key skill in a lot of jobs these days. You can just use the Duolingo, which is something that I used when I moved to Poland, and I still do use it. There's so many certifications that you can do. Google gives a lot of certifications. Websites like Udemy or Coursera, or there's just so many websites that you can actually pick up to build your skills, which is very important. And as you must have seen from the previous Meet the Expert session, one of the things that I would like to just point out is having that growth mindset. And the growth mindset is really important at this particular point in time, and upskilling is very important, because believe it or not, here the key here is, most of the times the skill that you think you're really good at is where you're not growing, because you feel you're so confident at it, and you can nail it. So do look at the skills, not just the ones that you don't know anything about, but also the skills that you know very good about, so that you can actually grow in that spectrum as well.
And do these online resources teach you soft skills as well as hard skills?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you do have resources for on soft skills and hard skills. Hard skills is something that you've been learning since your university. At the same time, the universities have moved into a mode where they're also preparing you to do a lot of soft skills, like presentations that you do, like group projects that you do. So you're already building so much in that. But then at the same time, as I said, most of the times when you nailed your presentation in the college, or when you finished your thesis and you nailed that defense, you think that you're awesome at it. So this is something that I would still like to just flag there and say, there are still many online courses, many online trainings that you can be a part of, where you can gain those skills and understand different perspective of doing the same thing, be it a simple presentation skill to just a simple communication on how you do the communication. Yeah.
What do you look for in candidates, and what makes a candidate stand out to you?
I think as being in recruitment, I think one of the things that we as recruiters always look at are two key aspects, which is the skills and the competencies that the job holds, or the job is needing to have, and the second thing is the experience. Of course, every one of you that's listening to this will say, but we don't have experience. We are from college. Remember that every single project that you worked on is an experience that you can quote. Every single internship that you've done is an experience that you can quote. Every single experience that you had organizing an event, for example, or any event that you were a volunteer on is an experience that you can quote based on because we are looking for competencies on how you can work together as a team, for example, uh, or work or just presentation, right? So if you had a chance to present, this is something that you can say, hey, this is how I present and this is why I'm good at presenting. uh, Even if you do not know, the things that I would probably look at is your attitude to learn and be better at what you presently do not have, which is basically upskilling. So this is something that I would surely be looking at. And this is exactly where the candidates would stand out. Having that growth mindset and having that attitude to learn and pushing forward and keep pushing higher in the skills that they have, so that they will just not be one among the market, but the person that stands out and say, hey, everyone knows what I know as well, but I'm actually upskilling, and these are the upskills that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I had the growth mindset on, and this is where I grew. Yeah,
Yeah, to be able to prove that they're constantly learning and trying to improve themselves.
absolutely, Kathleen, absolutely.
Besides using online resources, what else can students do to prepare themselves for applying for their next job?
I think what so of course you got to do the homework. One of the things that I would tell right up in the front is the way that the recruiters look at recruiting. So every single particular role that we recruit for has two specific things, which is called must-haves and nice-to-haves. So you will find this. You go to any job spec or a job advert that you find on the website, you will see the must-haves in the requirements, which says you need to have this, and there is nice-to-haves, which is it is an advantage to have this, or it's preferable to have this. So do remember that you need to meet the must-haves always, and you need to understand. And when you're applying for jobs, you need to meet the must-haves 90% of the times. So if you're wondering why you're getting a lot of rejections and this automatic email from the companies, it's probably because when you look through the job advert and you applied, you didn't have a look at the must-haves and you didn't check if you did have the must-haves or not. So this is something that I would really point out. And of course, the first gate I would say is the cover letters and CVs, how you manage that, and keeping it more specific to this must-haves, keep it more specific to the job, and keep it more concise and precise. And one of the things that I did, and I would surely share this as a personal experience, is please do have a track of the applications that you're making. Don't just go and just keep apply, just because we know that uh, job industry is hard at the moment, and you will surely see the moment you see a job, you just go and click apply. But then it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality of the jobs that you apply for, and um, which job is right for you. So I would surely look at that.
How can a student make their CV specific for a certain role?
CV. I would probably just touch both CV and cover letter here at the same time. So CV, the key first thing is one of the things that I'm telling everyone now is the photo. Photo at the moment is not really needed. It's most of an outdated trend, I would say, according to me. And also do remember that the CV needs to have CV needs to be very precise. If you just go to Google and just do a quick search and say, hey, how much time does a recruiter have to look through a CV? It'll probably just say a few seconds to a minute, not longer than that. So we, as recruiters, we generally go and look through those must-haves on your CV if you do meet what we are looking for, and then we look at the nice-to-haves as well. So or do remember this must-haves and nice-to-haves, and please do remember to highlight your achievements, which are very important, your experience, your skills that you have, and do keep the CV not longer than 2 pages. I'm sure you've heard this from your career cell, and I'm absolutely quoting them again and saying that for sure, not more than 2 pages of a CV. And speaking about the cover letter, keep it very specific to the job description that you're applying for. Understand the company that you're applying for, understand what values they have and what values you can bring or that you can share with them. And the key thing about the cover letter is always quote examples and show how you can bring value and make an impact with the experience that you have and with the examples that you show in that cover letter, because that is exactly when we know who you are as a person and how you put that into your cover letter. So yeah, so those are a few tips. Absolutely.
Is it possible to have like a cover letter template, or should a student be creating a specific cover letter for each application?
So the cover letter template can be there, but then the content in the cover letter needs to change for every specific application, because the must-haves and the nice-to-haves that I've been telling, and I'll keep repeating this again and again until it sinks in, is different for different jobs, and we really have to look at that. And for example, you have to make sure it goes with the job description, it goes with the competencies, it goes with the skills that they're actually looking for. The way I did it in my personal experience when I was applying for jobs when I was a graduate was I had more. So if I apply for IT organizations, this is how my cover letter would be. And still, I was still tweaking it a bit before I applied. A few examples here and there. So I made more functions of cover letters. I said, so if I'm applying for this kind of jobs, this is the cover letter that I would have. And then just before I apply, I'll just read it and just see if it is matching the job description and the expectations. And if not, I just change my examples and then just apply.
What tips would you give students to prepare for interviews?
So one of the things that I did for sure, and most of the times, most of the times we do not like doing it, is this: record yourself and listen to you. So there are two ways that I was advised to do: is just look into the mirror and just repeat what you wanted to say. And the other way was, no, just take your phone, record yourself, and just listen to it. I would strongly recommend the second, even though it's the most uncomfortable thing to do, where you actually record yourself and then listen to yourself on how you would answer a specific question, for example. And then you would know. I came to know that before. So when I was recording, I came to know that I use the word "so" starting every sentence. This is how I was just when I finished my graduation, right? So I used to just say, "So this is how it is. So this is what it is. So that is how my answers were." And when I started recording, that is when I realized I was using "so," and my friends started counting, and that is how fun it became my video, right? So how many "so's" I tell in a minute, for example. So you have to remember to record and practice the questions, and write it down. For example, if you're not sure what you're saying, just write it down exactly what the interviewer needs to know and practice them. And one I would bring in one specific technique. I'm sure most of you know about this already. It's called the STAR technique. Which is STAR. It's an acronym that stands for situation, task, action, and result. So go with this specific STAR technique. Just Google STAR technique, and you'll get different examples about it. So when you're quoting examples, be it in the cover letter or be it in the interview, so go with this. So quote the situation, tell what is the task, what is the action that you've done, and what was the result that you brought about, so that you don't miss out on any part of your example that you're giving. And speak about everything that the interviewer needs to know. Sometimes the interviewers might not ask all the questions that you were prepared with, but I think especially when it comes to your achievements and anything that you have highlights that you would really need to point out to the interviewers, I would really want you to speak about them. Absolutely. Just quoting that, saying, "Hey, I have to just tell you also about this," and then you can just say, "This is the specific thing, which is an achievement that you're really proud of," for example. And above all, just be yourself. Be honest. Be yourself. Just keep it personal. You're not talking to a robot. You're just talking to another person. Just be yourself and just be just have a normal, good conversation with the interviewer. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great advice. What's the best way that students can make use of social networks during this time?
Oh yeah, so social network has been the mainstream of recruitment for quite a while now, and it is going to stay, especially during COVID at the moment. One of the first things that really helped me before was networking through LinkedIn. And please do follow the companies. Please do follow the company updates that they have. Follow the company, let's say the head of marketing or head of or the CEO or for the any leaders in the company, so that you will also know what are updates they're posting and how the markets are changing. And the key thing that really helped me with networking when I was looking was connect to your alumni. Most of the times, alumni are the ones that actually would spend some time and help you and maybe do a mock interview. That is what my alumni did for me. I just reached out and said, hey, I'm trying to apply for this specific job in your company. Would this be something that you would be willing to help? And he took his time. He looked through my CVs. He looked through my cover letters. He even gave in a referral. And then he even did a mock interview just before I went through the first steps, and then I went for the final interview. So he even told, this is how the company is, this is how things are. And do remember, referrals do bring in a lot of value to your application. So please do reach out to your alumni. And being up to date on social media, again, I would surely quote the social media pages that you would follow, and also these websites, consolidators like news consolidators like Aula, which you can do. There are so many groups that you can be a part of. There are so many, and specifically now, LinkedIn is bringing about more and more ways on how to communicate with the recruiters as well. So, and being have a look at all the job boards, not just LinkedIn, because there is, for example, you're on Job Teaser today. There is Glassdoor, there is LinkedIn. There is just so many job boards. Go to every single job board, and do remember, above all, specifically when it comes to LinkedIn, when you're doing the networking, remember that it is a professional place. So keep the content that you share or you like or do things which is keeping it more professional, because it is visible, your activity, to us, and we do see who you are as a person through what you do on social media. So be very active and do a lot of networking.
Yeah, people make all the difference, I find.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there were so many people that helped me to get to where I am today. And yeah, I cannot be more thankful to all these mentors that I had in my life, to just to just to this alumni that just did a mock interview, for example, right? So, and yeah, things like that.
Are there any tips you can give for students to have a better profile so that they're highlighted to recruiters?
Sure. So, few things here when it comes to your profile on LinkedIn. If you do not know where to start, just reach out to your alumni or your friend, or even a recruiter in the company that you want to apply for, or speak to your career center, which is the best place I would say to start off with. Reach out for help if you do not know. The key things that you would really that we as recruiters would really look into your CV would, again, or your LinkedIn profile here, is the summary that you write. Keep it short, keep it concise. Tell us who you are, what your values are. Keep it personal as well, uh, and the descriptions about your roles or your projects that you're giving. Don't just copy paste them from your CV, right? So it just gives a simple snippet of what the whole project is, so that we understand who you are, and get those recommendations from the it can be from your professors, it can be from your friends, it can be from your colleagues that you worked with before, or it can be from your alumni that maybe you help them organize some event. Do remember to update the skills that you have on your LinkedIn profile. And I cannot emphasize more on the keywords. Just like how Google does the keyword search, that is exactly how LinkedIn works too. So when the recruiter goes and searches for a certain type of a profile, all we do is, for example, if you're looking for an analytical consultant in Nielsen, so we're looking for specific analytical skills. So we just go and say, okay, data analysis is one of the skill that we are looking for. So we just go and search data analysis and a fresh graduate, for example, or it's like how you search on the web. So that's exactly how it works. So make sure you look through this job description and you also understand what are the keywords that we are looking for, because on the job description you will also see the skills and the competencies that we are looking for, and you can put them into your LinkedIn profile, and that's how you can keep your profile being updated. For example, the way I keep my LinkedIn profile updated is I look through how the present scenario is when it comes to the markets, when it comes to the jobs, what are the skills that are in need, what are the skills that are not in need, and how relevant is my profile on LinkedIn today? So I look at the keywords, I look at the skills that people are looking for, and that is how you build up the profile so that you are up to date. And believe me or not, one of the things that I always tell, specifically the managers or anyone that I see, the colleagues, is most of the times the only time that the people update their LinkedIn profile is when they need to apply for a job.
Mm.
And um, and mo- and they're always very old, the profile. So keeping your profile up to date is very, very important. The skills that you have and need today is totally different to what people are looking for in a few months later. So it's very important to update and keep them updated. So when it comes to LinkedIn, and remember the keywords. The keywords are the key in getting the profile. And also remember, so LinkedIn also gives you this profile that you can give in multiple languages. So if you're not very comfortable in a specific language, if you're comfortable in your own language, feel free to do that as well.
That's really good advice. Now I feel like I need to update my LinkedIn profile.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you need advice, as I said, just reach out. We are always there. And I think I just forgot one thing on the LinkedIn here is with the new LinkedIn feature. There is the place where you can show to the recruiters that you're open, and you can even write down a small message to the recruiters, and you can even tell these are the job titles that you would be interested for. Go ahead and do that now, because it's a new feature that's been rolling out, and it's active, and people are using it, and we are having a lot of advantage from a recruitment standpoint because we see your interest and we see your message. So make it a two-way conversation. Don't just sit there and don't write that message or don't update that. Please go ahead and update that right now if you didn't.
Nice. So if you were going to give students a quick to-do list, what would that look like?
Oh yeah, so for sure. So I would probably just pull about 5 to 7 points here just to do. So find the job, of course, do the search, understand the requirements, remember the must-haves and the nice-to-haves, and the skills and the competencies. So that skills you can update the LinkedIn and the profiles and the CVs, and must-haves and nice-to-haves that will be important for your job application. Tailor your CV and the cover letter based on some tips, and there's a lot of tips that you can do and apply based on that must-haves and nice-to-haves. Do remember to keep a track of your application, which is something that most of us do forget. Um, Reach out to that recruiter, alumni, or a friend, maybe for a referral, for example, or for a mock interview, or for any help. Please be updated on the news of this particular company that you're applying for, or this particular industry that you're interested in. Um, do prepare for that interview. Remember to record. I know it's not easy. Just record yourself and just listen. After a point in time, you will get used to your voice being not how you think it sounds, and it really helps. And remember, when you're preparing for the interview, remember the STAR technique, which I told about. So you can quote the examples based on that. And I think above all, it's not about the job or the industry or a lot of skills and the competencies. It's about just being yourself and showing how awesome you are and how you can bring value and make an impact to the organization that you're being a part of. Just be yourself and just go and nail it. So yeah, just a few to-do list, I would say.
Okay, thank you. So we normally wrap up these sessions with a few questions from students. I'm going to start off with one from a student from the University of Law. Will companies be more lenient about the amount of work experience or the lack of work experience due to the crisis?
So let me start with the aspect of how recruitment happens again. Every single job has its own competencies and skills that it needs to have. Is the company going to be more lenient? I would say no, because we would be looking at that skills and competencies. Maybe we would be looking at, as I said, the attitude to learn is key. And it stays the same. I don't think the situation really defines if the companies are being lenient to the skills that they need. Because at the end of the day, the job needs certain skills, and those skills are needed. Or either your attitude needs to be more towards learning, and you're in the process of learning, so that you also show to the managers that go to the interviews that you have the passion to do what they're expecting you to do, and that is how you get there.
A student from the Free University of Brussels asks, how and when can we ask about our application?
give it a couple of days after you apply, I would say. You can reach out to the recruiter after your application, of course, or even sometime before your application. Let's say if it's an alumni or if somebody that you know, or if this is the person that you're already networking with. And then you can say, hey, thank you for just connecting, and this is the job that I'm interested in your company. Would you be interested? So, for example, people reach out to me, and as a manager, sometimes I generally direct them to the specific recruiter that is taking care of this job, and they're actually in touch. And there are times that actually the recruiter says, "Hey, I'm looking for this exact profile, and thank you for just showing me the way that this person that you told me reached out, and we already called them for an interview." So do reach out. Do give it a few more days after the your application, I would say, because the recruiter would surely look through all the applicants and then understand where you match up to the expectations of the job. As I said, there is no right or wrong way and when to approach. As I said, you can do the networking even way before you apply for a job. To when you apply, you can just ask for a referral, to ask for help, to understand the status of the application right after. We in recruitment do give a very big importance to communication and how we give a better candidate experience to anyone that applies. So we are generally very responsive when it comes to things. So feel free to reach out.
And one last quick question from a student from Rome Business School. How can I understand why my CV hasn't been selected?
So one of the thing I would say is to look through the job ad again and understand if you met all the must-haves. If you didn't meet any one of the must-haves, it is probably why, and probably there is another person that met all the must-haves. That is most of the reason why you get a rejection right up in the first level. So when you apply, if you get a rejection letter, it means to say that you're not meeting all the must-have criteria that is there on the job ad. But if you did have an interview, or if you did have that initial chat with the recruiters, please do feel free to reach out to them and just ask, is there anything that you can improve on, any feedback, and we are more than happy and willing to give that feedback.
Perfect. Okay, well, I think that about wraps it up, Sarath. Thank you again so much for joining us with all of your valuable advice. I'm sure the students will love it.
Thank you for this opportunity, and so I hope this small little tips that I've given would surely be helpful. And remember, I would just like to take this time to just tell everyone that remember to just be yourself, and don't ever give up on what you're hoping for, and don't ever let your dreams die, because you will eventually get to where you need to get to, and just keep going.
Thank you. That's a perfect note to end on. Until the next Meet the Expert session, thank you everyone for tuning in.